The Phoenix sunrise painted Desert View Park in shades of crimson and gold, the day justice would come swiftly and unexpectedly. 7 cartel members left battered and broken across the playground, each one taken down with devastating force that witnesses would later describe as a blur of fur and practiced precision. No guns were drawn, no police arrived in time, just the shocking aftermath of what appeared to be a single German Shepherd's protective fury. But these weren't random acts of canine aggression. The calculated positioning, the systematic neutralization of armed threats, and the miraculous survival of every child in the park's perimeter all pointed to something law enforcement had never encountered before. A highly trained protection dog's unwavering defense of innocence that would expose how one girl's special bond with her guardian would bring a notorious gang's reign of terror to its knees. The morning sun climbed higher over the suburban Phoenix landscape as Sarah Chen made her final preparations for what should have been a routine Saturday at Desert View Park. At 15, her slender frame carried the practiced grace of someone who'd spent years training alongside her closest companion. Atlas, her 3-year-old German Shepherd, maintained his usual position at her right side, his dark eyes constantly scanning their surroundings with the focused intensity that had become second nature through countless hours of specialized training. Sarah checked Atlas's equipment one final time, the lightweight tactical harness nearly invisible under his thick black and tan coat, the specialized collar with integrated GPS that her mother insisted he always wear. Most people who saw them together assumed Atlas was simply a well-behaved pet, never guessing at the thousands of hours of advanced protection training that had transformed him into something far more formidable. The park spread out before them, its modern playground equipment gleaming in the early morning light. A few other families had already claimed spots near the splash pad, their children's laughter carrying across the carefully maintained grounds. Sarah noted each detail automatically, a habit ingrained through years of situational awareness training, alongside Atlas. The position of every entrance and exit, the lines of sight between play areas, the natural surveillance points. Her mind catalogued it all unconsciously. Atlas's ears twitched slightly, drawing Sarah's attention to a group of teenagers gathering near the basketball courts. To most observers, the dog's movement would have seemed insignificant, but Sarah had learned to read her companion's subtle signals with remarkable precision. There was something about the group that had triggered Atlas's trained instincts. "What? Do you see, boy?" Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper, pitched just for Atlas's sensitive ears. The German Shepherd's response was equally subtle. A slight shift in muscle tension, a marginally different angle of his head. Most handlers would have missed these minute changes, but Sarah wasn't most handlers. The countless hours they'd spent training together had forged a connection that transcended normal human-canine relationships. Sarah casually adjusted her position to get a better view of the basketball courts, while maintaining the appearance of simply enjoying the morning with her dog. The group of teenagers didn't quite fit the usual park crowd. Their expensive clothes and jewelry seemed out of place for a Saturday morning pickup game. More telling was the way they constantly scanned their surroundings, their forced casualness, betraying practiced surveillance techniques. A young mother approached pushing a stroller, her toddler trailing slightly behind. "Is it okay if my daughter pets your dog?" she asked, smiling warmly. She loves German Shepherds. Sarah assessed the situation quickly. Atlas remained relaxed but alert, showing no signs of concern about the approaching family. "Of course," she replied, moving to create a clear sight line between Atlas and the basketball courts. Atlas is very gentle with children. Just let her approach slowly and offer her hand first. As the little girl cautiously extended her hand for Atlas to sniff, Sarah used the interaction to observe the group near the courts more carefully. Their positioning wasn't random. They'd spread out in a way that gave them clear views of all major park entrances. Two of them had taken positions that effectively controlled access to the main playground area where most of the children were playing. The toddler giggled as Atlas gave her hand a gentle lick, his tail wagging slowly, but his ears remaining partially erect, a perfect balance of friendliness and vigilance that reflected his extensive training. Sarah had spent countless hours working with professional trainers to develop Atlas's ability to remain approachable while maintaining his protective awareness. "He's beautiful," the mother commented, noting Atlas's impressive size and gleaming coat. "You don't often see German shepherds this well-trained at the park." Sarah smiled, keeping her response casual while her mind continued analyzing the increasingly suspicious situation developing near the courts. "Thank you. We've worked really hard on his training. He's actually a certified therapy dog." This wasn't technically a lie. Atlas did have therapy dog certification, though it was just one small part of his more extensive protection training. The mother and toddler moved on toward the splash pad, leaving Sarah free to focus fully on the group that had drawn Atlas's attention. Their number had grown to 6, with 2 more individuals joining from different directions. Their apparently casual movements followed patterns Sarah recognized from her years of training alongside professional protection dog handlers. Coordinated surveillance, strategic positioning, controlled territory assessment. A sharp bark from the playground drew everyone's attention momentarily. A family's golden retriever had become excited during a game of fetch, its enthusiastic play providing a stark contrast to Atlas's controlled vigilance. Sarah used the distraction to reposition herself and Atlas near a concrete picnic table that offered both cover and a clear view of the basketball courts. Atlas's body language shifted subtly, his muscles tensing fractionally, his head lowering slightly. Sarah recognized these minor changes as indicators that something in their environment had escalated from merely suspicious to potentially threatening. Years of training exercises had taught her to trust her dog's instincts implicitly. The group near the courts had begun moving with more purpose, their casual facade dropping slightly as they established what Sarah recognized as a classic control formation. 2 members had drifted toward the park's main entrance, while others maintained positions overlooking the playground. Their coordinated movements suggested professional training, but their slight hesitations and occasional glances toward the parking lot indicated they were waiting for something or someone. Sarah pulled out her phone, keeping her movements natural as she appeared to check messages while actually activating the emergency alert app her mother had insisted she install. The app would silently transmit her GPS location to both local law enforcement and the private security firm that had provided much of Atlas's specialized training. She didn't trigger an alert yet, but having the app ready felt prudent given the evolving situation. A new group entered the park. 3 men whose expensive clothes and confident strides immediately drew Atlas's attention. Sarah observed them through lowered lashes, pretending to be absorbed in her phone, while actually cataloging every detail. Their movement patterns were different from the teenagers already in position. More practiced, more purposeful. These weren't lookouts or subordinates. These were leaders who expected immediate deference from others. The transformation in the park's atmosphere was subtle but unmistakable. Parents unconsciously gathered their children closer, conversations grew, quieter, and the golden retriever's owner quickly leashed their pet and headed toward the parking lot. Sarah remained outwardly calm, while her mind raced through potential scenarios and response options, each one carefully rehearsed during countless training sessions with Atlas. The three newcomers moved toward the basketball courts with calculated precision, the teenagers already in position adjusting their formations automatically to accommodate the new arrivals. Sarah recognized the fluid choreography of well-trained teams who had operated together before. This wasn't random gang activity. This was an organized operation with clear objectives. Atlas's ears twitched again, this time accompanied by a nearly imperceptible growl that Sarah felt more than heard. She followed his line of sight to spot two more individuals approaching from the park's secondary entrance, their path taking them directly past the playground where several young children still played, oblivious to the developing situation. The precision of their movements, the coordinated positioning, the practiced surveillance, all of it suggested cartel involvement, exactly the kind of operation Sarah and Atlas had trained extensively to recognize and counter if necessary. But recognition was only the first step. Now came the critical decision: direct confrontation or tactical withdrawal to protect the civilians still present in the park. Sarah's hand moved to Atlas's harness, feeling the reassuring solidity of his powerful frame beside her. They had trained for scenarios like this, spent countless hours preparing for situations where they might be the only line of defense between innocent civilians and organized threats. But training exercises were one thing. Real-world application with actual lives at stake was another matter entirely. A child's cry from the playground caught everyone's attention. A little boy had fallen from the swing set, his mother rushing to comfort him. The sound seemed to trigger something in the coordinated group's timeline. Their casual pretense dropped completely as they began moving with clear purpose toward the playground area, their formations tightening with practiced efficiency. Sarah felt Atlas's muscles coil beneath her hand, his body shifting into the ready position they had practiced thousands of times. Whatever was about to happen, she knew with absolute certainty that she and Atlas were the only ones prepared to stop it. The weight of that responsibility settled over her with crystalline clarity as she watched the cartel members close in on their objective, their movements indicating they expected no meaningful resistance. They were about to learn just how wrong that assumption was. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself as she had been taught. Beside her, Atlas remained perfectly still, waiting for her command with the practiced patience of a highly trained protection dog. The next few moments would demonstrate exactly why some threats should never underestimate a girl and her German Shepherd. Sarah's mind flashed back to the day Atlas first came into her life, 3 years earlier. Her mother, Dr. Lisa Chen, had arrived home from her high-security research position at Phoenix Quantum Laboratories with an 8-week-old German Shepherd puppy, his oversized paws and alert expression already hinting at the remarkable partner he would become. "This isn't just any puppy," Dr. Chen had explained, watching Atlas explore their living room with methodical precision unusual for his age. "He comes from a very special breeding program. His parents were both elite protection dogs with advanced training in personal security and threat detection. At 12 years old, Sarah had been thrilled simply to have a dog, but her mother's next words would set them on a path that would transform both their lives. Atlas will need specialized training, and you'll need to train alongside him. It's important given my work and other considerations. Those other considerations remained largely unspoken, but Sarah understood enough. Her mother's research in quantum computing had attracted attention from organizations that didn't always operate within legal boundaries. The decision to get Atlas hadn't been just about giving Sarah a companion. It was about ensuring she had protection when her mother couldn't be present. The training began immediately, led by Marcus Reynolds, a former military canine handler who now specialized in civilian protection dog development. Sarah remembered their first session as if it were yesterday, standing in the private training facility as Marcus evaluated Atlas's natural abilities. "Your puppy has exceptional genetic potential," Marcus had said, watching Atlas work through his first scent discrimination exercise with remarkable focus. But genetics are just the foundation. The real work comes in developing that potential through thousands of hours of specialized training. Those thousands of hours had filled the next 3 years. Every weekend, school holiday, and summer break involved intensive training sessions, while Sarah's friends spent their free time at the mall or watching movies. She and Atlas worked with increasingly sophisticated protection scenarios. Marcus's training methods emphasized the development of both dog and handler as a unified team. A protection dog is only as effective as their handler's ability to read and direct them, he'd explained. You and Atlas need to function as a single unit, each understanding the other's capabilities and limitations perfectly. The basic obedience training that most dog owners considered sufficient was just the beginning. Atlas learned advanced command protocols in multiple languages, silent hand signals, and sophisticated threat assessment. Sarah learned canine psychology, tactical awareness, and emergency response protocols. They trained in every environment imaginable: crowded shopping centers, empty warehouses, public parks, much like this one. Atlas learned to maintain his protective focus while appearing completely approachable, a skill that had proven valuable countless times when they needed to operate without drawing attention. Dr. Chen had spared no expense in their training, bringing in specialists from around the country to work with them. Former military canine handlers, personal security experts, and civilian protection specialists all contributed to Atlas's development. And Sarah's handling skills. "Your dog has the potential to be one of the best protection animals I've ever worked with," Marcus had told them after their first year of training. "His intelligence, drive, and natural protective instincts are off the charts. But what makes him truly exceptional is his bond with Sarah. I've rarely seen a handler and dog so perfectly matched." That bond had been tested repeatedly over the years. There was the time at the mall when Atlas had subtly alerted Sarah to a surveillance team following them, allowing her to contact security before the situation escalated. Or the incident at her school when his presence had deterred a potential kidnapping attempt so smoothly that most people never realized what had almost happened. Sarah's hand moved unconsciously to the specialized collar Atlas wore, feeling the subtle vibration that indicated its GPS tracking system was active. Another of her mother's precautions, the collar contained technology that went far beyond standard pet tracking devices. They had trained extensively with the collar's capabilities, learning to use its advanced features in various tactical situations. Atlas could be directed silently through its sophisticated haptic system, receiving commands through subtle vibrations that allowed him to respond to Sarah's instructions without any visible or audible signals. The memories of their training flooded back as Sarah watched the cartel members continue their synchronized movement toward the playground. She recognized the precision in their approaches, the way they maintained optimal spacing and sight lines, but she also recognized something else. They had no idea they were being observed by someone trained to detect exactly these kinds of coordinated operations. Atlas remained perfectly still beside her, but Sarah could feel the subtle changes in his muscle tension that indicated his heightened state of awareness. They had practiced this type of situation hundreds of times in training, maintaining calm observation while preparing for potential intervention. Sarah's mind ran through the tactical assessment protocols Marcus had drilled into her. 8 visible targets, likely more in reserve. Multiple potential civilian casualties in the playground area, limited cover options between her current position and likely engagement zones. Atlas's specialized training would be their primary advantage. She thought about all the specialized scenarios they had trained for: crowd control, individual threat neutralization, coordinated response to multiple attackers. Atlas had excelled at all of them, but he had shown particular aptitude for protective intervention in situations involving children. Their most recent training session had focused on exactly this type of scenario, maintaining protective coverage of civilian targets while dealing with multiple coordinated threats. Atlas had performed flawlessly as usual, but Marcus had reminded them that real-world situations rarely followed training scripts perfectly. "The key is adaptability," he had said, watching Atlas move through a complex protection exercise. "Your dog has the physical capabilities and training to handle almost any threat, but success depends on your ability to read the situation and deploy those capabilities effectively." Sarah felt the weight of those words now as she observed the cartel members continuing their advance. Their movement suggested they had experience dealing with standard security measures and typical civilian responses. But they had never encountered anything like Atlas. The specialized training programs they had completed went far beyond basic protection work. Atlas had been taught sophisticated threat discrimination, allowing him to differentiate between various levels of danger and respond appropriately. He could neutralize an armed attacker without causing fatal injury, control crowds without causing panic, and protect multiple civilians simultaneously. Sarah remembered the pride in Marcus's voice during their last evaluation 3 weeks earlier. "What you and Atlas have achieved goes beyond standard protection dog training," he had said. "You've developed into something extraordinary, a perfectly synchronized team capable of handling situations that would challenge most professional security units." Those words gave her confidence now as she continued assessing the developing situation. The cartel members' coordinated movements revealed their training, but also their limitations. They were prepared for standard resistance, security guards, police response, civilian panic. They weren't prepared for a highly trained protection dog and handler team. Sarah's fingers brushed against the emergency alert app on her phone again, but she hesitated to activate it. Police response would take precious minutes, during which time the situation could escalate dramatically. She and Atlas might be the only ones capable of preventing whatever the cartel had planned. The thought should have terrified her, but instead, she felt an odd sense of calm. This was what they had trained for, why they had spent thousands of hours perfecting their responses to exactly these types of situations. Atlas sensed her focused state, his body language reflecting the same professional readiness they had developed. Through countless training sessions, their specialized training had covered every aspect of civilian protection operations. Atlas could subdue attackers with precisely calculated force, create defensive perimeters around multiple targets, and maintain protective coverage while Sarah coordinated civilian evacuation. Each of these skills might be needed in the next few minutes. The cartel members had nearly reached their apparent objective, their movements becoming more purposeful as they closed in on the playground area. Sarah noted how their formations shifted subtly, creating overlapping fields of control that would make standard intervention difficult. But their carefully coordinated approach had one critical flaw. It didn't account for a protection dog of Atlas's caliber. Their training assumed they would face predictable resistance, not a highly specialized canine unit capable of disrupting their entire operation. Sarah felt Atlas's muscles tense slightly as one of the cartel members moved within their optimal engagement range. They had practiced these distance calculations extensively, learning exactly how to time their responses for maximum effectiveness while maintaining tactical surprise. The years of training, thousands of hours of specialized scenarios, and countless practice sessions had prepared them for precisely this moment. Sarah and Atlas were about to demonstrate why sophisticated criminal organizations should think twice before threatening innocent civilians in their presence. Officer Elena Rodriguez pulled into Desert View Park's secondary parking lot, her unmarked police cruiser's engine running quietly as she conducted her routine morning patrol. After 15 years with the Phoenix Police Department's Special Operations Unit, she had developed an instinct for trouble that rarely failed her. Something about the park's atmosphere this morning triggered that finely tuned radar. She noticed Sarah and Atlas first. The girl and her German Shepherd were familiar figures in her patrol zone. Elena had crossed paths with them numerous times during training exercises at the park, and there was something about their presence today that heightened her professional concern. The way they maintained their position near the concrete picnic table, the dog's alert but controlled posture, the girl's too casual observation of her surroundings, all of it suggested they had detected something concerning. Elena switched off her engine but remained in her vehicle, using its elevated position to survey the park's layout. The morning crowd was typical for a Saturday. Families with young children at the playground, a few joggers on the perimeter trail, teenagers gathering near the basketball courts. But there was an underlying tension in the air, a subtle wrongness that made her reach for her radio. Dispatch, Unit 247, conducting stationary observation at Desert View Park, she reported quietly. No incident to report yet, but something feels off. Running silent for now, but mark my location. The dispatcher acknowledged with 2 clicks, understanding Eleanor's desire to maintain a low profile while assessing the situation. During her years in special operations, Elena had learned to trust these moments of intuitive concern, even when she couldn't immediately identify their source. Her attention returned to Sarah and Atlas, noting how the German Shepherd's behavior mirrored her own professional instincts. The dog maintained what appeared to be casual awareness, but Elena recognized the controlled alertness that came from advanced training. She had worked with enough police canine units to know this was no ordinary pet. Movement near the basketball courts drew her attention. The group gathering there displayed patterns that triggered her tactical assessment protocols. Too much coordination in their seemingly random movements, too much awareness of sight lines and access points. Elena began mentally cataloging details with practiced efficiency. Sarah's position suddenly made more sense. She had chosen a location that provided optimal observation of the basketball courts while maintaining protective coverage of the playground area. Elena had heard rumors about the girls' extensive training with her dog, but seeing their tactical awareness in action was impressive. 3 new arrivals entered the park, their bearing immediately setting them apart from the regular weekend crowd. Elena's hand moved instinctively to her service weapon as she recognized characteristics she had encountered too often in her career. The confident stride of cartel lieutenants, the subtle bulges of concealed weapons, the practiced scanning of professional criminals assessing their territory. "Dispatch," she whispered into her radio, requesting silent backup to Desert View Park. Possible cartel activity, multiple suspects, civilians present. No lights, no sirens, established perimeter only. Elena knew departmental protocol would require waiting for tactical teams before direct engagement, especially with civilians in the potential line of fire. But something about the cartel members' coordinated movements suggested they were operating on a specific timeline. Standard response times might not be sufficient. Her attention returned to Sarah and Atlas, recognizing that they might be the only immediate assets available if the situation deteriorated rapidly. Elena had reviewed enough incident reports involving protection dogs to know that a well-trained canine unit could effectively disrupt coordinated criminal operations, buying precious time for law enforcement response. The tactical situation was developing with concerning speed. 2 more cartel members approached from the park's secondary entrance, their path taking them directly past the playground. Elena noted how Sarah tracked their movement while maintaining awareness of the main group near the basketball courts. The girls' situational awareness reflected professional-level training. A child's cry from the playground seemed to accelerate the cartel members' timeline. Their casual pretense dropped as they began moving with clear purpose toward the play area. Elena reached for her radio again, but hesitated, knowing that any obvious law enforcement communication might trigger immediate escalation. She watched Sarah's hand move to Atlas's harness, recognizing the controlled preparation for potential intervention. The girl and her dog had positioned themselves perfectly, close enough to respond effectively, but far enough to maintain tactical surprise. Their positioning suggested extensive training in civilian protection scenarios. Elena's tactical training kicked in as she assessed potential response options. Direct law enforcement intervention might trigger immediate violence, endangering the civilians in the playground area. But allowing the cartel operation to proceed unchallenged was equally unacceptable. The solution might lie with the unexpected. Assets already in position, Sarah and Atlas represented an unknown variable in the cartel members' tactical calculations. Their training and capabilities could provide the critical advantage needed to disrupt whatever operation was unfolding. Elena made a rapid decision based on years of tactical experience. She would maintain her covert position, ready to provide backup, but allowing the protection dog team to utilize their unique capabilities. The cartel members continued their advance, their formation suggesting they expected to encounter only standard civilian resistance. Elena recognized their tactical oversight. They had failed to account for specialized assets already present in their target area. This kind of operational blindness had proven costly in previous encounters. She observed how Atlas maintained perfect position beside Sarah, the dog's muscle tension visible even from her distance. Their coordinated readiness reflected the kind of handler-canine synchronization that took thousands of hours of specialized training to develop. Elena had seen similar qualities in the department's best canine units. The tactical situation reached a critical point as the cartel members established control positions around the playground perimeter. Their movements displayed professional training, but also revealed a crucial weakness. They were prepared for predictable resistance, not the specialized intervention capability represented by Sarah and Atlas. Elena's hand remained near her service weapon as she watched the protection dog team maintain their tactical advantage. Years of law enforcement experience had taught her the value of unexpected assets in critical situations. Sometimes the most effective response came from resources the opposition had failed to consider. The next few moments would demonstrate why cartel operations should factor in all possible resistance, including highly trained civilian protection units. Elena prepared to provide tactical support if needed, but her instincts told her Sarah and Atlas were about to prove more than capable of handling the immediate situation. She had witnessed enough protection dog interventions to recognize the potential impact of a well-trained canine unit on coordinated criminal operations. Atlas's specialized training, combined with Sarah's tactical awareness, could disrupt the cartel members' carefully planned operation before they realized what had happened. The morning sun climbed higher as the tactical situation approached its tipping point. Elena maintained her covert observation, ready to support the unexpected assets that might prove crucial in protecting the park's innocent civilians from cartel violence. Sometimes, the most effective law enforcement response meant recognizing and enabling specialized civilian capabilities. The cartel members completed their initial positioning, unaware that their operation was being observed by both law enforcement and a highly trained protection dog team. Their confidence in their tactical superiority was about to be severely tested by capabilities they had failed to anticipate. From her concealed position, Sarah watched the cartel members execute their final approach to the playground area. Her mind processed tactical details with practiced efficiency, skills honed through countless training scenarios, now operating at peak performance. The group's leader, a tall man with a silver watch that caught the morning sun, directed his subordinates with subtle hand signals that Sarah recognized from her own protection training. Atlas remained perfectly still beside her, but she could feel his growing tension through the specialized harness. They had trained extensively for this type of situation. Multiple threats, civilian presence, coordinated hostile movement. Sarah's fingers brushed the emergency alert app again, knowing that even if she activated it now, law enforcement response would take precious minutes to arrive. Movement near the park's secondary entrance caught her attention. Officer Rodriguez's unmarked cruiser sat quietly in the auxiliary parking lot, its presence both reassuring and concerning. Sarah had encountered the Special Operations Officer enough times during training exercises to recognize her tactical expertise. If Elena was maintaining covert observation rather than initiating direct intervention, the situation was even more serious than it appeared. The cartel team's formation shifted slightly as they established control positions around the playground perimeter. Sarah counted 8 visible operators, their positions carefully calculated to control all major access points. Their tactical awareness was professional grade, but it contained a critical flaw. They had failed to account for possible resistance from specialized civilian assets. "Easy, boy," Sarah whispered to Atlas, feeling his muscles coil in response to the increasing threat level. The German Shepherd's training allowed him to maintain absolute stillness while preparing for immediate action. Years of specialized scenarios had developed his ability to transition instantly from apparent calm to devastating intervention. A young mother gathered her children from the swing set, her instincts warning her of the growing tension even if she didn't understand its source. Sarah noted how the cartel members adjusted their positions to maintain coverage as the civilian count in their target area decreased. Their tactical discipline suggested extensive training, but also revealed their primary weakness. They expected predictable responses. Atlas's ears twitched slightly as 2 more cartel operators appeared near the basketball courts. Their approach angles indicated they were establishing a secondary containment zone, standard procedure for professional kidnapping operations. Sarah's tactical training had covered these exact scenarios, teaching her to recognize the patterns of organized abduction attempts. The silver-watched leader made a subtle gesture, and his team began closing their perimeter with practiced efficiency. Sarah recognized the transition from surveillance to active operation, a shift she had studied extensively during her protection dog handler training. They were about to execute whatever plan had brought them to Desert View Park. A child's laugh carried across the playground, drawing Sarah's attention to a small group still playing on the jungle gym. 2 young boys, probably brothers based on their matching t-shirts, remained blissfully unaware of the danger closing in around them. Their mother sat nearby, her attention divided between her phone and her children, not yet recognizing the threat converging on their position. Sarah's training kicked in automatically as she assessed multiple tactical variables. Distance to primary, targets, civilian positions, available cover, response timing, each factor calculated with precision, developed through thousands of hours of scenario-based preparation. Atlas waited for her command, his specialized training allowing him to maintain perfect readiness without revealing their tactical capability. The cartel team's coordination was impressive, but predictable. Sarah had studied similar operations during her advanced protection training, learning to recognize the standard protocols used by professional kidnapping units. Their movements followed textbook patterns, making their intentions clear to someone with proper tactical education. Officer Rodriguez remained in her covert position, her tactical experience likely telling her that direct law enforcement intervention might trigger immediate violence. Sarah understood the officer's hesitation. Standard police response could escalate the situation before proper backup arrived. This realization confirmed that she and Atlas might be the civilians' only immediate protection. A subtle vibration from Atlas's specialized collar indicated that its GPS tracking system had registered increased movement patterns. The technology, far more sophisticated than standard pet accessories, provided tactical data that Sarah had learned to interpret through extensive training. The cartel team's movement signatures matched threat profiles they had studied extensively. Sarah's and moved to the reinforced section of Atlas's harness that served as his primary control point during tactical interventions. They had practiced this grip countless times, developing the muscle memory needed for precise canine deployment in high-stress situations. The German Shepherd's breathing remained steady, his training allowing him to maintain absolute calm before engagement. The tactical situation approached critical threshold as the Cartel team established their final positions. Sarah recognized the pattern. They would likely initiate their primary action within the next 60 seconds, following standard operational timing for professional abduction attempts. Their confidence in their tactical superiority was about to prove drastically misplaced. Atlas's slight weight shift telegraphed his reading of the situation, his advanced training allowing him to anticipate threat patterns with remarkable accuracy. Sarah had learned to trust these subtle signals implicitly, knowing they reflected sophisticated threat assessment capabilities developed through years of specialized training. The silver-watched leader made another hand gesture, this one more urgent. His team responded with practiced precision, their movements suggesting they were preparing to execute their primary objective. Sarah noted how they maintained professional discipline while failing to detect the specialized countermeasure capability positioned near their target zone. A jogger passed near the basketball courts, his presence causing the Cartel team to pause momentarily in their advance. Sarah used the brief delay to make final tactical calculations, her mind processing engagement angles and response timing. With trained efficiency, Atlas remained perfectly still, years of specialized training evident in his absolute control while awaiting deployment commands. Officer Rodriguez's continued covert observation suggested she had recognized something crucial about the tactical situation. The Special Operations veteran likely understood that unexpected assets might prove more effective than standard law enforcement response. Sarah felt the weight of that tactical trust, knowing that she and Atlas might represent the best, immediate option for protecting the park's innocent civilians. The morning heat began to build as the situation approached its tipping point. Sarah's tactical training helped her maintain absolute focus, analyzing multiple threat variables while preparing for potential intervention. Atlas's specialized capabilities would provide their primary tactical advantage, allowing them to disrupt the Cartel team's carefully planned operation before they could endanger civilian targets. Sarah watched the final pieces of the Cartel team's tactical plan fall into place. Their professional coordination would have been impressive if she hadn't spent years studying exactly these types of operations. Every movement, every position change, every subtle signal revealed their intentions to someone with proper protection. Training Atlas's muscles tensed fractionally as one of the Cartel operators moved within optimal engagement range. Sarah and her German Shepherd had practiced these distance calculations extensively, learning precisely how to time their responses for maximum tactical effectiveness. Years of specialized training were about to prove their value in ways the Cartel team never anticipated. The playground had nearly emptied as parents unconsciously responded to the growing tension, but the two brothers remained on the jungle gym, their mother still unaware of the danger approaching their position. Sarah recognized that she and Atlas might be the only things standing between these innocent civilians and whatever the Cartel team had planned. Officer Rodriguez shifted slightly in her vehicle, likely preparing to provide tactical support if needed. Sarah appreciated the law enforcement veteran's professional judgment in allowing specialized civilian assets to utilize their unique capabilities. The next few moments would demonstrate why Cartel operations should never underestimate thoroughly trained protection dog teams, a final hand signal from the Silver Watch leader suggested immediate action was imminent. Sarah felt absolute clarity as years of tactical training crystallized into perfect readiness. Beside her, Atlas maintained his position with professional precision, waiting for the deployment command that would demonstrate exactly why some threats should never discount civilian protection capabilities. The Cartel team's confidence in their tactical superiority was about to prove tragically misplaced. They had planned their operation with professional precision, but failed to account for the specialized intervention capability represented by a highly trained protection dog and his equally well-prepared handler. This oversight would prove costly in ways they never anticipated. The Silver Watch leader gave his final signal, and the Cartel team initiated their primary action with practiced coordination. Two operators moved directly toward the remaining civilians at the jungle gym, while others maintained perimeter control. Their movements displayed professional efficiency, but also revealed complete tactical blindness to the specialized countermeasure capability about to engage them. Sarah touched Atlas's specialized collar once, activating its advanced tactical features. The German Shepherd's muscles tensed beneath her hand as she issued their first command through the haptic interface, a silent instruction that sent him moving like liquid shadow toward the closest threat to civilian targets. The first Cartel operator never saw Atlas coming. The German Shepherd's specialized training allowed him to close the distance with devastating speed while maintaining absolute tactical control. Years of protection scenarios had perfected his ability to neutralize threats without causing fatal injury, a skill that he now demonstrated with professional precision. Officer Rodriguez maintained her covert position, but shifted slightly, ready to provide tactical support if needed. Her law enforcement experience likely told her that the protection dog team's intervention might prove more effective than standard police response. The next few moments would prove that assessment correct. Atlas's initial engagement created precisely the disruption Sarah had trained for: immediate tactical confusion as the Cartel team struggled to process an unexpected threat. Their professional coordination began to fracture as they tried to adapt to a capability they had never encountered in previous operations. The second operator attempted to draw a concealed weapon, but found himself intercepted by 80 pounds of precisely directed German Shepherd. Atlas's specialized training allowed him to disarm threats with surgical accuracy, targeting specific muscle groups to neutralize without causing permanent damage. The man's weapon skittered across the concrete as he went down under controlled pressure. Sarah moved with practiced efficiency, using the tactical advantage created by Atlas's initial engagement to begin evacuating civilians from the danger zone. Years of scenario-based training had prepared her for exactly this type of situation, maintaining protective coverage while coordinating emergency withdrawal of non-combatants. The Silver Watch leader shouted commands in Spanish, trying to reorganize his team against this unexpected threat. But their tactical responses had been designed for predictable resistance, not the specialized intervention capabilities being demonstrated by a highly trained protection dog and handler team. Atlas moved like a force of nature, his actions reflecting thousands of hours of advanced training. Each engagement was precisely calculated, enough force to neutralize threats, but never more than necessary. His ability to maintain tactical awareness while executing multiple takedowns demonstrated why professional protection dogs required such extensive specialized development. The cartel team's attempts to regroup proved futile as Atlas systematically disrupted their carefully planned operation. Their tactical training had prepared them for standard security responses, not the devastating efficiency of a German Shepherd specifically trained to counter organized threats to civilian targets. Sarah maintained perfect tactical positioning, using hand signals and haptic commands to direct Atlas's movements with professional precision. Their years of training together had developed an almost telepathic connection, allowing them to coordinate complex protection maneuvers without verbal communication. Officer Rodriguez finally emerged from her vehicle, badge displayed as Atlas's. Intervention created space for safe law enforcement engagement. The Special Operations veteran had recognized the tactical advantage of allowing the protection dog team to disrupt the cartel operation before standard police response. The remaining civilians reached safety as Atlas continued his systematic neutralization of threats. Each takedown demonstrated the sophisticated training that separated professional protection dogs from standard security canines. His ability to maintain absolute control while executing complex tactical maneuvers reflected years of specialized development. The Silver Watch leader attempted to coordinate a tactical withdrawal, but Atlas's presence had completely disrupted their practiced protocols. The German Shepherd's advanced training allowed him to anticipate and counter their escape attempts, keeping the cartel team contained until law enforcement could establish proper control. Sarah felt absolute clarity as she directed Atlas through the final phases of their intervention. Every training scenario, every practice session, every hour spent developing their tactical capabilities had prepared them for exactly this situation. Their performance validated years of specialized preparation. The sound of approaching sirens indicated that standard police response was finally arriving, but the critical phase of civilian protection had already been accomplished. Atlas's intervention had disrupted the cartel operation before it could endanger innocent lives, demonstrating the vital importance of specialized protection capabilities. Officer Rodriguez coordinated with arriving units while maintaining tactical coverage of the scene. Her professional experience allowed her to recognize and appreciate the sophisticated protection protocols demonstrated by Sarah and Atlas during their intervention. Standard law enforcement training included recognition of specialized civilian assets. Atlas maintained absolute control as police units established containment, his advanced training allowing him to switch seamlessly from active engagement to passive presence. The German Shepherd's ability to modulate his tactical responses reflected years of sophisticated scenario-based development. The cartel team's professional coordination had been completely neutralized by Atlas's intervention. Their tactical training proved inadequate against a protection dog specifically developed to counter organized threats. Each operator had been systematically disabled with precisely calculated force, demonstrating the effectiveness of specialized canine capabilities. Sarah directed Atlas through final containment procedures as tactical response units arrived. Their performance had validated every hour spent in advanced training, every specialized scenario practiced, every skill developed through years of focused preparation. Professional protection capabilities had proven their critical value. Chen Silver Watch leader found himself secured by tactical officers. His attempted operation completely dismantled by a German Shepherd's specialized intervention. His team's professional training had failed to account for civilian protection assets specifically developed to counter organized threats to innocent targets. Officer Rodriguez approached Sarah as the scene stabilized. Her tactical experience, allowing her to recognize the sophisticated protection protocols demonstrated during the intervention. "That's quite a dog you've got there," she said quietly, watching Atlas maintain his vigilant presence. "Professional protection training?" Sarah nodded, maintaining tactical awareness while responding. "Years of specialized development. Atlas is specifically trained for civilian protection against organized threats." The German Shepherd's advanced capabilities had proven their worth in ways that validated every hour spent in training. The playground stood empty now, but the civilian targets had been successfully protected from whatever the cartel team had planned. Atlas's intervention had demonstrated why specialized protection assets represented such vital tactical resources. His ability to disrupt professional operators validated the sophisticated training required for effective civilian defense. Police units established full control of the scene as Sarah and Atlas maintained their tactical position. The German Shepherd's advanced training allowed him to integrate seamlessly with law enforcement response, while remaining ready for additional intervention if needed. Years of specialized development had created a truly professional protection asset. The morning sun climbed higher as tactical officers processed the scene, each secured cartel operator providing evidence of Atlas's precise intervention capabilities. The German Shepherd had demonstrated why professional protection dogs required such extensive specialized training. His performance validated every aspect of their tactical development program. Officer Rodriguez coordinated with tactical response teams while keeping one eye on Atlas's continued vigilance. The Special Operations veteran had recognized the sophisticated protection protocols at work during the intervention. Her professional experience allowed her to appreciate the critical value of specialized civilian assets. The cartel team's attempted operation had been completely neutralized by a protection dog's precise intervention. Their professional training proved inadequate against Atlas's specialized capabilities, demonstrating why organized threats should never discount civilian defense assets. Each operator bore evidence of controlled tactical engagement. Sarah felt quiet pride as she observed the secured scene, knowing that she and Atlas had prevented potential tragedy through their intervention. Years of specialized training had prepared them to protect innocent lives from organized threats. Their performance validated every hour spent developing professional protection capabilities. Atlas maintained his vigilant presence as law enforcement processed the scene, his advanced training allowing him to balance tactical readiness with controlled response. The German Shepherd had demonstrated why professional protection dogs represented such vital civilian defense assets. His intervention had validated years of specialized development. As tactical units secured the scene, Atlas maintained his protective vigilance, while Sarah used the momentary pause in action to catch her breath. Her hands still tingled from gripping the specialized harness during their intervention. This would be a perfect moment to address the viewers, to acknowledge those who had accompanied their story this far. If you're still with us, let us know where you're watching from. Drop a comment below. We read every single one. And if this story of courage and protection touches your heart, Make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow's video will reveal something truly extraordinary about specialized protection dogs like Atlas. Now, let's get back to how this situation unfolded. The morning's events had drawn attention from across the park complex. Families who had evacuated during the initial confrontation watched from a safe distance as police units processed the scene. Atlas's performance had demonstrated a level of protection capability that few civilians ever witnessed. Officer Rodriguez coordinated with arriving investigators while maintaining proximity to Sarah and Atlas. The Special Operations veteran recognized that the protection dog team's testimony would prove crucial in understanding how a civilian canine unit had so effectively disrupted a professional cartel operation. Atlas shifted position slightly, responding to movement among the secured cartel members. His advanced training allowed him to maintain protective coverage while appearing completely calm. The German Shepherd's ability to modulate his tactical presence reflected years of specialized development. Sarah noticed additional unmarked vehicles arriving, their occupants displaying the unmistakable bearing of federal agents. The cartel team's presence at a public park would definitely draw attention from multiple law enforcement agencies. Atlas's intervention had exposed an operation with potentially wider implications. The silver-watched leader remained notably silent as tactical officers secured him for transport. His professional demeanor had cracked slightly, revealing frustration at having his operation completely dismantled by a teenage girl and her German Shepherd. Years of cartel tactical training had proven inadequate against specialized civilian protection capabilities. Detective James Chen, Sarah's father, arrived on scene, his police radio having alerted him to the situation at Desert View Park. As head of Phoenix PD's organized crime division, he immediately recognized the significance of a cartel team operating so boldly in a public space. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked quietly, approaching Sarah while maintaining professional distance appropriate for an active crime scene. Atlas acknowledged the detective's presence with a slight tail wag, but maintained his tactical awareness, demonstrating the balance of personal recognition and protective duty that characterized professional protection dogs. Sarah nodded, her tactical training helping her maintain composed demeanor despite the morning's intense events. "We're fine, Dad. Atlas handled everything exactly like we trained for." The German Shepherd's intervention had validated every hour spent developing their specialized protection capabilities. Detective Chen surveyed the secured cartel operators, noting the precise nature of their injuries. Atlas's advanced training was evident in how he had neutralized multiple armed threats without causing severe damage. Professional protection dogs were developed specifically to eliminate threats while minimizing permanent harm. Officer Rodriguez filled me in on what happened, he said, watching tactical units photograph evidence. "Your mother's insistence on specialized protection training doesn't seem so excessive now, does it?" His expression carried both professional pride and parental concern. Sarah thought about all the weekends spent at the training facility, all the hours invested in developing Atlas's advanced capabilities. The morning's events had demonstrated exactly why her mother had insisted on such extensive preparation. Professional protection assets required complete dedication to proper development. Federal agents began interviewing witnesses, their questions revealing serious concern about cartel operations targeting public spaces. Atlas's intervention had exposed more than just an attempted criminal action. It had revealed sophisticated, organizational activities that would draw major investigative attention. The silver-watched leader was escorted to a tactical transport vehicle, his previous confidence replaced by careful calculation. Sarah recognized his expression from her protection training scenarios, a professional operator reassessing tactical assumptions after encountering unexpected resistance capabilities. Officer Rodriguez approached Detective Chen, her tactical experience allowing her to provide precise details about the protection dog team's intervention. "Your daughter and her shepherd prevented what could have been a tragic situation," she reported. Their response was textbook professional protection protocol. Atlas maintained his vigilant presence while various agencies processed the scene, his advanced training allowing him to balance multiple tactical considerations. The German Shepherd's ability to project both capability and calm demonstrated why professional protection dogs required such extensive specialized development. Sarah noticed news vans arriving at the park's perimeter, drawn by police radio traffic about the incident. Atlas's intervention would likely draw media attention, though her father's position would help manage public information about a civilian protection dog's role in disrupting cartel operations. Detective Chen coordinated with federal agents while keeping one eye on his daughter and Atlas. His professional experience told him that the morning's events would have wider implications. A cartel team operating so boldly suggested organizational expansion that would concern multiple agencies. The secured operators were systematically transferred to tactical vehicles, each one bearing evidence of Atlas's precise intervention capabilities. The German Shepherd had demonstrated why professional protection dogs represented such vital civilian defense assets. His performance validated years of specialized training. Sarah felt the adrenaline finally starting to fade as the scene stabilized, though Atlas maintained perfect tactical awareness. Their morning at the park had transformed into a demonstration of professional protection capabilities. Years of specialized training had prepared them for exactly this type of situation. Federal agents began investigating the cartel team's vehicles, their expressions suggesting discovery of significant evidence. Atlas's intervention had not only protected civilian targets, it had exposed an operation that would provide valuable intelligence about criminal organizational activities. Officer Rodriguez provided detailed statements about the protection dog team's performance, her tactical experience allowing her to appreciate the sophisticated protocols demonstrated during their intervention. Atlas's advanced capabilities had proven crucial in preventing potential tragedy at a public facility. Detective Chen received preliminary reports from evidence processing teams while maintaining proximity to Sarah and Atlas. The German Shepherd's intervention had created an investigation that would involve multiple agencies. Professional protection capabilities had exposed serious criminal organizational activities. Sarah watched additional tactical units arrive, knowing that Atlas's actions would generate significant law enforcement attention. Their specialized training had prepared them to protect civilian targets, but it had also equipped them to assist professional investigations by disrupting criminal operations. Atlas adjusted positions slightly as federal agents photographed the scene, his advanced training allowing him to maintain protective coverage while accommodating investigative activities. The German Shepherd's ability to integrate with law enforcement response demonstrated another aspect of professional protection capabilities. Detective Chen coordinated with arriving investigators while keeping Sarah and Atlas within sight. His professional experience told him that the morning's events would generate major case files. A civilian protection dog's disruption of cartel operations would draw attention from multiple agencies. The secured operators were systematically processed as evidence teams documented the scene. Atlas's intervention had provided valuable intelligence about criminal organizational activities. Professional protection capabilities had proven their worth beyond immediate civilian defense. Sarah noticed her father speaking quietly with federal agents, their expressions suggesting serious concern about cartel operations in public spaces. Atlas's advanced capabilities had exposed more than just an immediate threat. They had revealed sophisticated criminal activities requiring major investigation. Officer Rodriguez maintained tactical oversight while various agencies processed the scene. Her law enforcement experience told her that the protection dog team's intervention would generate significant investigative attention. Professional civilian assets had demonstrated crucial security capabilities. Atlas continued his vigilant presence as the morning progressed, his specialized training allowing him to balance multiple tactical considerations. The German Shepherd had demonstrated why professional protection dogs required such extensive development. His performance validated years of dedicated training. Sarah felt quiet pride as she observed the secured scene, knowing that she and Atlas had prevented potential tragedy through their intervention. Their specialized training had prepared them to protect innocent lives while assisting law enforcement operations. Professional protection capabilities had proven their critical value. In a secure conference room at Phoenix Police Headquarters, federal agents and local law enforcement leaders gathered to review evidence from the morning's events. Surveillance footage from park security cameras played on wall-mounted screens, showing Atlas's intervention from multiple angles. The German Shepherd's precise tactical movements drew appreciative comments from assembled professionals. Special Agent Marcus Torres of the DEA led the briefing, his experienced eyes analyzing the protection dog's performance. What we're seeing here goes beyond standard K9 capabilities, he explained, pausing the footage on a frame of Atlas executing a controlled takedown. This level of precision typically requires years of specialized development. Detective Chen maintained professional detachment as his colleagues reviewed his daughter's involvement in disrupting the cartel operation. Sarah and Atlas waited in an adjacent room, the German Shepherd's continued vigilance demonstrating that his protective training remained active even in secure environments. The cartel team was well trained, Officer Rodriguez reported, sharing her tactical observations from the scene. Professional operators, coordinated movements, standard protocols for civilian control. They weren't expecting resistance from specialized protection assets. The Silver Watch leader had been identified as Miguel Ramirez, a mid-level cartel lieutenant known for organizing specialized operations. His presence at Desert View Park suggested objectives beyond standard criminal activities. Atlas's intervention had exposed operations with concerning implications. Security footage showed the precision of the German Shepherd's tactical responses, each movement calculated to neutralize threats while minimizing damage. the assembled law enforcement professionals recognized training protocols that separated professional protection dogs from standard security canines. Our preliminary investigation suggests they were setting up surveillance points throughout the park complex, Agent Torres continued, displaying maps marked with cartel team positions. The civilian protection dog disrupted their operation before they could establish full tactical coverage. Detective Chen studied the tactical displays, his organized crime experience recognizing patterns that suggested larger organizational activities. The cartel team's presence at a public facility indicated operational expansion that would concern multiple agencies. Atlas's intervention had exposed serious security threats. Sarah provided detailed statements about the morning's events, her protection training evident in her precise tactical observations. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness beside her chair, his specialized capabilities still engaged despite the secure environment. Years of development had created a truly professional protection asset. The dog's performance demonstrates exceptional training, noted K9 Division Commander Phillips, reviewing footage of Atlas's systematic engagement of multiple threats. A controlled force application, perfect tactical awareness, precise threat neutralization. This is advanced protection protocol. Agent Torres shared intelligence about cartel activities in the region, his presentation suggesting that the park operation connected to larger organizational movements. Atlas's intervention had provided valuable information about criminal tactical capabilities and operational patterns. The secured operators were being processed at federal holding facilities, their interrogations revealing concerning details about cartel expansion plans. Professional protection capabilities had not only prevented immediate threats, they had exposed sophisticated criminal activities requiring major investigation. Sarah described Atlas's tactical responses during the intervention, her understanding of protection protocols impressing the assembled professionals. The German Shepherd's advanced training had proven crucial in disrupting coordinated criminal operations before they could endanger civilian targets. The protection dog's performance suggests specialized development focusing on civilian defense against organized threats, Commander Phillips observed, studying footage of Atlas's precise interventions. This level of tactical capability requires extensive scenario-based training. Detective Chen coordinated with federal agents while maintaining proximity to Sarah and Atlas. His professional experience told him that the morning's events would generate major case files. A civilian protection dog's disruption of cartel operations would draw attention from multiple agencies. Evidence teams had recovered significant intelligence from the cartel team's vehicles, including documentation suggesting broader organizational activities. Atlas's intervention had created investigative opportunities that would concern law enforcement across multiple jurisdictions. Officer Rodriguez provided tactical analysis of the protection dog team's performance, her special operations experience, allowing her to appreciate the sophisticated protocols demonstrated during their intervention. Atlas's advanced capabilities had proven crucial in preventing potential tragedy. Sarah noticed her father speaking quietly with Agent Torres, their expressions suggesting serious concern about cartel operations targeting public spaces. Atlas's specialized training had exposed more than just immediate threats. It had revealed criminal activities requiring major investigation. Commander Phillips reviewed additional footage of Atlas's tactical responses, his K-9 experience recognizing the advanced protocols displayed during the intervention. Professional protection dogs required extensive development to achieve such precise threat neutralization capabilities. The secured operators provided statements that suggested larger organizational activities, their interrogations revealing concerning details about cartel tactical operations. Atlas's intervention had exposed sophisticated criminal capabilities that would draw major investigative attention. Agent Torres coordinated with multiple agencies while analyzing intelligence recovered from the scene. The protection dog team's disruption of cartel operations had created valuable investigative opportunities. Professional civilian assets had demonstrated crucial security capabilities. Sarah described Atlas's specialized training to the assembled professionals, explaining the thousands of hours invested in developing his protection capabilities. The German Shepherd's performance had validated every aspect of their tactical development program. Detective Chen studied reports from evidence processing teams while maintaining watch over his daughter and Atlas. The morning's events had generated investigations that would involve multiple agencies. Professional protection capabilities had exposed serious criminal organizational activities. Commander Phillips shared K-9 tactical assessments with federal agents, his experience allowing him to explain the sophisticated protocols demonstrated by Atlas during the intervention. Professional protection dogs represented valuable civilian defense assets against organized threats. Officer Rodriguez provided detailed analysis of the cartel team's movements, her tactical experience helping investigators understand how Atlas had disrupted their coordinated operations. Specialized protection capabilities had proven crucial in preventing potential tragedy at a public facility. Sarah noticed additional federal agents arriving for the briefing, their presence suggesting serious concern about cartel activities in public spaces. Atlas's advanced training had exposed sophisticated criminal operations requiring major investigative attention. Evidence teams continued processing intelligence recovered from the scene, their findings revealing concerning details about cartel organizational expansion. Professional protection capabilities had provided valuable information about criminal tactical operations. Agent Torres coordinated multiple agency responses while reviewing footage of Atlas's intervention. The German Shepherd's performance had demonstrated why specialized civilian assets represented crucial security resources against organized threats. Detective Chen maintained professional focus while various agencies processed evidence from the morning's events. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel operations would generate major case files requiring extensive investigation. Sarah explained Atlas's tactical responses to K-9 division personnel, her protection training evident in her precise technical descriptions. The German Shepherd's advanced capabilities had proven crucial in neutralizing coordinated threats to civilian targets. Commander Phillips analyzed additional surveillance footage showing the precision of Atlas's interventions. Professional protection dogs required extensive, specialized development to achieve such sophisticated tactical capabilities. Officer Rodriguez shared tactical observations with federal investigators, her experience helping them understand how the protection dog team had disrupted cartel operations. Specialized civilian assets had demonstrated crucial security capabilities. Agent Torres reviewed intelligence suggesting broader criminal organizational activities throughout the region. Atlas's intervention had exposed sophisticated cartel operations that would concern multiple law enforcement agencies. Sarah maintained composed demeanor while various professionals analyzed the morning's events. Her protection training helped her provide precise tactical details about Atlas's intervention capabilities. Detective Chen coordinated with federal agents while studying evidence of larger cartel operations. Professional protection capabilities had exposed criminal activities requiring major investigative attention. The secured operators revealed concerning details about organizational expansion plans during preliminary interrogations. Atlas's intervention had provided valuable intelligence about sophisticated criminal tactical capabilities. Dr. Lisa Chen arrived at police headquarters directly from Phoenix Quantum Laboratories, her security clearance allowing immediate access to the secure briefing area. She found Sarah and Atlas waiting calmly, the German Shepherd's protective vigilance undiminished by the secure environment. Her daughter's composed demeanor reflected years of specialized training. "I got the alert when you activated Atlas's emergency protocols," she explained, studying Sarah's face for signs of stress. His tracking system showed precision tactical engagement, professional response patterns. The sophisticated technology integrated into the dog's equipment had provided real-time performance data. Atlas acknowledged Dr. Chen's presence while maintaining alert watchfulness, his advanced training allowing him to balance personal recognition with protective duty. The German Shepherd's specialized capabilities remained engaged despite the secure facility environment. Detective Chen joined them briefly between briefings, his professional demeanor softening slightly as he observed his family's interaction. "The federal teams are impressed with Atlas's tactical performance," he reported. "His intervention exposed significant cartel organizational activities." Sarah described the morning's events to her mother, her protection training evident in her precise tactical observations. Dr. Chen listened intently, her expression suggesting both pride in her daughter's composed response and concern about the situations her work might attract. "Your decision to get Atlas wasn't just about personal security, was it?" Sarah asked quietly, watching federal agents review surveillance footage through the conference room windows. Her mother's insistence on specialized protection training suddenly carried deeper significance. Dr. Chen exchanged glances with her husband before responding. "My research attracts attention from organizations that don't always operate within legal boundaries," she explained carefully. "We needed to ensure you had appropriate protection capabilities when we couldn't be present." Agent Torres approached their group, his expression suggesting both professional interest and genuine respect. "Dr. Chen, your dog's performance today prevented what could have been a tragic situation. His tactical capabilities exceed many law enforcement canine units." Atlas maintained perfect position beside Sarah while various officials discussed his intervention, his specialized training allowing him to project both capability and calm. The German Shepherd's advanced development was evident in every aspect of his controlled vigilance. "Atlas comes from a unique breeding program," Dr. Chen explained to the federal agent. "Selected genetics combined with thousands of hours of specialized training. His protection capabilities were specifically developed to counter organized threats." Sarah noticed her mother's subtle emphasis on certain words, recognizing security phraseology from their years of protection training. The morning's events had exposed layers of preparation, extending far beyond standard civilian defense protocols. Commander Phillips joined their discussion, his canine experience allowing him to appreciate Atlas's sophisticated capabilities. The precision of his tactical responses suggests specialized development well beyond standard protection training. Professional-grade intervention protocols. Dr. Chen acknowledged the commander's observation while maintaining careful control of operational details. Atlas's training program incorporated elements from multiple professional protection disciplines. His capabilities were developed through extensive scenario-based preparation. Detective Chen coordinated with federal teams while keeping his family in sight, his organized crime experience recognizing the significance of their situation. A civilian protection dog's disruption of cartel operations would draw serious attention from multiple agencies. Sarah studied her mother's composed interaction with law enforcement officials, noting how she balanced professional cooperation with careful information control. Years of specialized security protocols shaped every aspect of their response to the morning's events. Atlas shifted position slightly as additional federal agents entered the briefing area, his advanced training allowing him to maintain protective coverage while accommodating authorized personnel. The German Shepherd's tactical awareness remained fully engaged, despite the secure environment. Dr. Chen provided carefully worded statements about Atlas's development program, sharing sufficient details to assist investigation while protecting sensitive aspects of his specialized training. Professional protection capabilities required thoughtful operational security. The cartel team's presence at a public park suggests concerning organizational expansion, Agent Torres noted, sharing tactical assessments with Dr. Chen. Your dog's intervention exposed operations with significant security implications. Sarah listened carefully as her mother discussed Atlas's capabilities with law enforcement officials, recognizing elements of their protection training that suddenly carried deeper meaning. Years of specialized preparation had created truly professional defensive assets. Commander Phillips reviewed additional footage of Atlas's tactical responses, his experience allowing him to identify sophisticated protection protocols. This level of precision requires extensive development, focusing on specific threat categories, he observed. Dr. Chen maintained professional composure while various agencies analyzed the morning's events, her security background evident in her precise handling of investigative inquiries. Atlas's intervention had exposed operations requiring careful coordination between multiple organizations. Detective Chen shared preliminary findings with federal teams while keeping his family's situation in carefully considered perspective. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel activities would generate serious attention from multiple agencies. Sarah noticed subtle communication patterns between her parents as they managed law enforcement interaction, recognizing security protocols that had shaped their family life. Years of specialized preparation had created capabilities extending far beyond standard civilian protection. Atlas maintained vigilant presence while various officials reviewed his tactical performance, his advanced training allowing him to balance multiple operational considerations. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure environment. Dr. Chen coordinated with federal agents while monitoring her daughter's composed handling of the situation. Professional protection assets required careful management of both operational and personal security considerations. Commander Phillips studied additional surveillance footage showing Atlas's precise interventions, his K9 experience recognizing sophisticated tactical protocols. Your dog's performance demonstrates exceptional development, specifically targeting organized threats, he noted. Sarah provided detailed statements about the morning's events, her protection training evident in her careful balance of tactical, information, and operational security. Years of specialized preparation had developed professional response capabilities. Detective Chen maintained careful oversight while various agencies processed intelligence from the scene. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel operations would require thoughtful coordination between multiple organizations. Dr. Chen discussed the German Shepherd's specialized training with federal officials, sharing appropriate details while maintaining necessary operational security. Professional protection capabilities required careful management of sensitive tactical information. Atlas adjusted position as additional investigators entered the briefing area. His advanced training allowing him to accommodate authorized personnel while maintaining protective vigilance. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged. Sarah noticed her mother's subtle direction of law enforcement inquiries, recognizing security protocols that shaped their interaction with investigating agencies. Years of specialized preparation had created capabilities requiring careful operational management. Commander Phillips analyzed footage of Atlas's tactical responses with federal teams, his experience allowing him to identify sophisticated protection protocols. This level of precision suggests development specifically targeting professional operators, he observed. Dr. Chen maintained composed interaction while various officials reviewed the morning's events, her security background evident in her careful handling of investigative requirements. Atlas's intervention had exposed operations requiring thoughtful coordination. Detective Chen shared tactical assessments with federal agents while keeping his family's situation in carefully considered perspective. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel activities would generate serious attention from multiple organizations. Sarah recognized layers of security protocols in her parents' careful management of law enforcement interaction, understanding deeper significance in their years of specialized preparation. Professional protection capabilities required thoughtful operational security. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness while various agencies analyzed his tactical performance, his advanced training allowing him to balance multiple security considerations. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure environment. Dr. Chen coordinated with investigating officials while monitoring her daughter's composed handling of the situation. Professional protection assets required careful management of both operational and personal security protocols. Commander Phillips reviewed additional surveillance footage showing Atlas's precise interventions, his K9 experience recognizing sophisticated tactical capabilities. Your dog's performance demonstrates exceptional development, specifically targeting organized threats, he noted. Sarah provided detailed statements about the morning's events, her protection training evident in her careful balance of tactical information and operational security. Years of specialized preparation had created truly professional response capabilities. Detective Chen maintained thoughtful oversight while various agencies processed intelligence from the scene. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel operations would require careful coordination between multiple organizations. The secured facility buzzed with activity as federal teams continued analyzing evidence from the morning's intervention. Atlas's advanced capabilities had exposed sophisticated criminal operations requiring major investigative attention. The interrogation of Miguel Ramirez, the silver-watched cartel lieutenant, revealed concerning details about organizational expansion into public spaces. Special Agent Torres led the questioning while Detective Chen observed through one-way glass, their professional experience recognizing patterns that suggested sophisticated criminal operations. "Your team wasn't just conducting surveillance," Torres stated, reviewing tactical data recovered from the scene. "The positioning, the equipment, the coordination, you were establishing control points for something bigger." His experience with cartel operations allowed him to recognize preparation patterns. Ramirez maintained professional silence, but his expression shifted slightly at the mention of Atlas's intervention. The protection dog's disruption of their carefully planned operation had exposed vulnerabilities in cartel tactical protocols. Professional operators rarely encountered such specialized civilian defense capabilities. In an adjacent conference room, Sarah continued providing detailed statements about the morning's events, while Atlas maintained vigilant presence. Dr. Chen monitored the debriefing carefully, her security background evident in how she managed the flow of tactical information. The dog's initial engagement created perfect tactical disruption, Officer Rodriguez explained to federal analysts, reviewing surveillance footage. Precision neutralization of primary threats while maintaining protective coverage of civilian targets. Professional protection protocols. Commander Phillips studied footage of Atlas's systematic response to multiple attackers, his canine experience recognizing sophisticated training patterns. This level of tactical precision requires extensive, scenario-based development, specialized preparation for specific threat categories. Dr. Chen shared carefully considered details about Atlas's training program, providing investigators with necessary tactical information while protecting sensitive aspects of his development. Professional protection capabilities required thoughtful management of operational security. Sarah noticed subtle communication patterns between investigators as they analyzed the morning's events, her protection training helping her recognize various agencies' security protocols. Years of specialized preparation had created capabilities extending beyond standard civilian defense. Atlas adjusted position as additional federal teams arrived, his advanced training allowing him to accommodate authorized personnel while maintaining protective vigilance. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure environment. Detective Chen coordinated with multiple agencies while keeping his family's situation in carefully considered perspective. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel operations would generate serious attention from various organizations. The cartel team's tactical responses followed predictable patterns, Officer Rodriguez noted, sharing observations with federal analysts. Standard protocols for civilian control, professional coordination, expected resistance profiles. They weren't prepared for specialized protection assets. Commander Phillips reviewed additional footage showing Atlas's precise intervention capabilities, his experience allowing him to identify sophisticated tactical protocols. The dog's performance demonstrates exceptional development, specifically targeting organized threats, he observed. Dr. Chen maintained composed interaction while various officials analyzed the morning's events, her security background evident in her careful handling of investigative requirements. Atlas's intervention had exposed operations requiring thoughtful coordination between multiple agencies. Sarah provided detailed statements about the protection dog's tactical responses, her training evident in how she balanced information sharing with operational security. Years of specialized preparation had developed truly professional defense capabilities. Agent Torres emerged from the interrogation briefly to share preliminary findings. Ramirez is professionally trained, but his tactical assumptions didn't account for civilian protection assets of this caliber. The dog's intervention exposed serious gaps in their operational protocols. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness while various agencies processed intelligence from the scene, his advanced training allowing him to balance multiple security considerations. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure facility. Detective Chen studied interrogation transcripts while monitoring his family's interaction with federal teams. His organized crime experience recognized patterns suggesting the morning's events connected to larger criminal organizational activities. Dr. Chen coordinated carefully with investigating officials while observing her daughter's composed handling of the situation. Professional protection assets required thoughtful management of both operational and personal security protocols. Commander Phillips analyzed surveillance footage showing Atlas's systematic engagement of multiple threats, his K9 experience recognizing sophisticated tactical capabilities. This level of precision indicates development specifically targeting professional operators, he noted. Sarah recognized layers of security protocols in the ongoing investigation, understanding deeper significance in their years of specialized preparation. Professional protection capabilities required careful management of sensitive tactical information. Officer Rodriguez shared detailed observations about the cartel team's tactical patterns, her special operations experience helping federal analysts understand how Atlas had disrupted their coordinated operation. Specialized protection assets had demonstrated crucial security capabilities. Agent Torres returned to the interrogation while various agencies continued processing evidence from the scene. The protection dog's intervention had exposed sophisticated criminal operations, requiring major investigative attention from multiple organizations. Dr. Chen maintained professional composure while discussing Atlas's capabilities with federal officials, sharing appropriate details while protecting sensitive aspects of his specialized training. Years of development had created truly exceptional protection assets. Sarah noticed subtle shifts in investigative focus as additional intelligence emerged from various sources, her protection training helping her recognize evolving security priorities. Atlas's intervention had exposed operations with significant implications. Commander Phillips reviewed tactical data with federal teams while studying footage of the protection dog's performance. The precision of his responses suggests extensive scenario-based development, focusing on specific threat categories, he observed. Detective Chen coordinated between multiple agencies while maintaining careful oversight of his family's situation. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel activities would require thoughtful management of various organizational interests. Atlas shifted position slightly as new investigators entered the briefing area. His advanced training, allowing him to accommodate authorized personnel while maintaining protective vigilance. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged. Dr. Chen guided law enforcement inquiries with careful attention to operational security, her background evident in how she managed the flow of tactical information. Professional protection assets required thoughtful coordination between multiple organizations. Sarah provided additional details about the morning's events while recognizing evolving patterns in the investigation. Years of specialized preparation had developed capabilities requiring careful management of sensitive tactical information. Officer Rodriguez analyzed surveillance footage with federal teams, her tactical experience helping them understand sophisticated protection protocols demonstrated during Atlas's intervention. Professional civilian assets had proven crucial security capabilities. Commander Phillips studied additional evidence of the cartel team's operational patterns, his K-9 experience allowing him to appreciate how Atlas had systematically disrupted their coordinated activities. Specialized protection capabilities had exposed significant tactical vulnerabilities. Agent Torres emerged again briefly to update investigating officials about developing leads. The protection dog's intervention had created valuable intelligence about sophisticated criminal operations, requiring major attention from multiple agencies. Dr. Chen maintained composed interaction while various organizations processed information. From the scene, her security background evident in her careful handling of evolving investigative requirements. Atlas's capabilities had exposed operations needing thoughtful coordination. Sarah recognized deeper significance in the ongoing investigation as additional details emerged about cartel organizational activities. Years of specialized preparation had created protection assets with crucial implications for multiple agencies. Detective Chen shared tactical assessments with federal teams while keeping his family's situation in carefully considered perspective. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of criminal operations would generate serious attention from various organizations. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness while multiple agencies continued processing intelligence, his advanced training allowing him to balance various security considerations. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure environment. Commander Phillips analyzed additional footage showing the protection dog's precise tactical responses, his experience recognizing exceptional development specifically targeting organized threats. Professional capabilities had proven crucial in disrupting criminal operations. Officer Rodriguez provided detailed observations about how Atlas had systematically neutralized multiple attackers while maintaining protective coverage. Specialized training had created truly professional civilian defense assets, requiring thoughtful operational security. Dr. Chen coordinated carefully between investigating agencies while monitoring evolving security requirements. Professional protection capabilities had exposed sophisticated criminal activities needing major attention from multiple organizations. Sarah noticed subtle patterns in how various officials processed information from the scene. her training helping her recognize developing investigative priorities. Years of specialized preparation had created capabilities with significant implications. Detective Chen maintained thoughtful oversight, while federal teams continued analyzing evidence of larger cartel operations. His experience told him that Atlas's intervention had exposed criminal activities requiring careful coordination between multiple agencies. The secured facility remained busy as investigators processed intelligence about sophisticated organizational activities. Professional protection capabilities had demonstrated crucial value in disrupting coordinated criminal operations, targeting public spaces. Teams of federal analysts worked through the night, processing intelligence gathered from the disrupted cartel operation. The evidence painted an alarming picture. Desert View Park had been just one node in a sophisticated network of surveillance points being established throughout Phoenix's public spaces. They were mapping civilian gathering areas, Agent Torres explained during the midnight briefing, displaying tactical overlays on wall-mounted screens. Parks, playgrounds, community centers, creating a grid of controlled observation posts across the city. His tactical experience recognized patterns suggesting extensive organizational planning. Sarah sat with her parents in the secure conference room, Atlas maintaining vigilant presence beside her chair. The German Shepherd specialized. Training allowed him to remain fully alert despite the late hour, his protective capabilities still actively engaged. The precision of your dog's intervention provided crucial tactical intelligence, Commander Phillips noted, reviewing surveillance footage for the dozenth time. His systematic disruption of their operation exposed standardized protocols we're now finding at multiple locations. Dr. Chen listened carefully while federal teams shared developing intelligence, her security background helping her recognize implications extending beyond standard criminal activities. Atlas's capabilities had revealed sophisticated organizational patterns requiring major investigative attention. Their tactical responses followed predictable training protocols, Officer Rodriguez observed, analyzing footage of the morning's events. Professional coordination, standard civilian control procedures, but completely inadequate against specialized protection assets. Detective Chen coordinated with multiple agencies while keeping his family's situation in carefully considered perspective. His organized crime experience recognized patterns suggesting the morning's events connected to larger criminal activities targeting public spaces. Atlas shifted position slightly as additional federal analysts entered the briefing room, his advanced training allowing him to accommodate authorized personnel while maintaining protective vigilance. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the late hour. The cartel team's equipment suggests extensive logistical support, Agent Torres continued, displaying evidence recovered from their vehicles. Communications gear, surveillance technology, tactical supplies. They were establishing long-term observation infrastructure. Sarah noticed subtle patterns in how various officials processed emerging intelligence, her protection training helping her recognize evolving security priorities. Years of specialized preparation had created capabilities exposing operations with significant implications. Commander Phillips analyzed additional footage, showing Atlas's systematic engagement of multiple threats. His K9 experience recognizing sophisticated tactical protocols. This level of precision indicates development specifically targeting professional operators. he noted. Dr. Chen maintained composed interaction while investigators shared concerning findings about cartel organizational expansion. Professional protection capabilities had exposed criminal activities requiring thoughtful coordination between multiple agencies. Your dog's intervention prevented establishment of a crucial surveillance node, Officer Rodriguez explained too. Sarah studying tactical maps. His disruption of their operation exposed vulnerability patterns we're now finding throughout their network. Detective Chen reviewed intelligence reports while monitoring his family's interaction with federal teams. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel activities would generate serious attention from various organizations concerned about public security. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness while agencies continued processing evidence. From the scene, his advanced training allowing him to balance multiple security considerations. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite the secure facility. The precision of their positioning suggests extensive advanced planning, Agent Torres observed, displaying satellite imagery of multiple target locations. They were creating overlapping coverage zones across civilian gathering areas. Sarah provided additional details about the morning's events while recognizing deeper patterns in the ongoing investigation. Years of specialized preparation had developed capabilities requiring careful management of sensitive tactical information. Commander Phillips studied surveillance footage with federal teams, his experience helping them understand sophisticated protection protocols demonstrated during Atlas's intervention. Professional civilian assets had proven crucial against organized threats. Dr. Chen guided law enforcement inquiries with careful attention to operational security. Her background, evident in how she managed the flow of tactical information. Protection capabilities had exposed operations requiring thoughtful coordination between multiple agencies. Detective Chen shared tactical assessments while maintaining careful oversight of evolving security implications. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of criminal activities would require major attention from various organizations. The cartel team's tactical responses revealed standardized training patterns, Officer Rodriguez noted, analyzing their failed containment attempts. Professional protocols completely disrupted by specialized protection capabilities they never anticipated. Atlas shifted position as new investigators entered the briefing area, his advanced training allowing him to accommodate authorized personnel while maintaining protective vigilance. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged despite extended operations. Sarah recognized deeper significance in the ongoing investigation as additional details emerged about organizational expansion plans. Years of specialized preparation had created protection assets with crucial implications for public security. Dr. Chen maintained professional composure while various agencies processed intelligence from multiple locations. Protection capabilities had exposed sophisticated criminal operations requiring major investigative attention across jurisdictions. Your dog's systematic disruption of their protocols provided invaluable tactical data, Commander Phillips explained, reviewing evidence with federal teams. His intervention exposed vulnerability patterns we're finding throughout their network. Detective Chen coordinated between multiple agencies while keeping evolving security implications in carefully considered perspective. His experience told him that Atlas's capabilities had exposed operations requiring thoughtful coordination at multiple levels. Atlas maintained alert watchfulness while investigators continued analyzing evidence from various locations. The German Shepherd's advanced training allowed him to balance extended operational requirements while maintaining full protective capability. The precision of their surveillance planning suggests extensive organizational support. Agent Torres observed, studying tactical data from multiple target areas. They were establishing long-term observation infrastructure across civilian gathering spaces. Sarah noticed subtle patterns in how federal teams processed emerging intelligence about cartel expansion activities. Her protection training helped her recognize evolving security priorities, requiring careful operational management. Commander Phillips analyzed additional footage showing Atlas's systematic engagement of professional operators. His experience, recognizing sophisticated tactical capabilities requiring thoughtful coordination between agencies. Dr. Chen maintained composed interaction while various organizations shared concerning findings about criminal organizational activities. Protection capabilities had exposed operations requiring major investigative attention from multiple jurisdictions. Your dog's intervention prevented establishment of crucial surveillance infrastructure, Officer Rodriguez explained, reviewing tactical maps with federal analysts. His disruption of their protocols exposed standardized vulnerability patterns. Detective Chen studied intelligence reports while monitoring evolving security implications for public spaces. His experience told him that Atlas's capabilities had exposed sophisticated criminal activities requiring careful coordination. Atlas shifted positions slightly as additional investigators joined extended briefings, his advanced training allowing him to maintain protective vigilance despite prolonged operational requirements. The German Shepherd's sophisticated capabilities remained fully engaged. Sarah provided detailed observations while recognizing deeper patterns in emerging intelligence. About organizational expansion, years of specialized preparation had developed capabilities exposing operations with significant security implications. Commander Phillips reviewed surveillance footage with federal teams, his K-9 experience helping them understand sophisticated protection protocols demonstrated during Atlas's systematic intervention. Dr. Chen guided evolving law enforcement inquiries with careful attention to operational security requirements. Protection capabilities had exposed criminal activities, requiring thoughtful coordination between multiple investigating agencies. The precision of their tactical positioning reveals extensive advance planning, Agent Torres noted, analyzing evidence from various target locations. They were creating sophisticated surveillance coverage across civilian gathering areas. Detective Chen maintained careful oversight while federal teams processed intelligence about larger criminal organizational activities. His experience told him that Atlas's disruption of cartel operations would require major investigative attention. Atlas's alert watchfulness continued as agencies shared concerning findings about sophisticated surveillance networks. The German Shepherd's advanced training allowed him to balance extended operational requirements while maintaining protective capabilities. Sarah recognized evolving patterns in how various officials processed emerging intelligence about criminal expansion activities. Her protection training helped her understand deeper implications, requiring careful security coordination. Commander Phillips studied additional evidence of cartel tactical protocols with federal analysts. His experience recognizing sophisticated patterns exposed by Atlas's systematic intervention capabilities. The investigation continued through the night as teams processed intelligence about extensive organizational activities targeting public spaces. Professional protection capabilities had demonstrated crucial value against sophisticated criminal operations. The morning sun finally rose over Phoenix as Sarah and Atlas prepared to head home from their long night at police headquarters. The German Shepherd's intervention at Desert View Park had done more than just protect innocent civilians. It had exposed a sophisticated cartel operation that would keep federal agencies busy for months to come. "You did good today, boy," Sarah whispered, scratching behind Atlas's ears as they walked to her mother's car. The German Shepherd maintained his protective vigilance even after the extended operation, his specialized training never wavering. In the end, what seemed like a routine morning at the park had demonstrated why some threats should think twice before targeting public spaces protected by specialized civilian assets. Atlas's intervention had shown that professional protection capabilities, carefully developed through years of dedicated training, could prove decisive against even highly organized criminal operations. The cartel learned an expensive lesson about underestimating a girl and her German Shepherd. Sometimes the most effective defense comes from unexpected sources, like a highly trained protection dog ready to defend innocent lives at a moment's notice. If this story of courage and protection touched your heart, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We bring you incredible true stories of extraordinary dogs and their handlers every week. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video about remarkable canine heroes, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Have you ever witnessed a protection dog in action? We read every comment and love hearing your stories. Remember to share this video with anyone who needs a reminder that sometimes the best guardian angels have 4 paws and a brave heart. See you in our next amazing story.